Hello, and this is the political napalm. So, we all know that hypocrisy and outrage is coin of the realm on the American political right. It is the major currency of the party. Now, to be fair, I do not necessarily mean standard, typical American conservatives. This is strictly aimed at MAGA, Trump publicans, Trumpers. They always have to be outraged about something. They always basically are hypocritical about it. You can see that with the Hunter pardons, but that will be a video for another day. But in the past year alone, we've covered so much ridiculous MAGA outrage, like the Olympics, because they didn't understand what the eating scene was at the table. They were, likening it to the Last Supper, and that was problematic because they thought there were minority people in it. The boxing controversy during the Olympics for somebody who was born a female, lives in a country where being transgender would probably result in them being stoned or killed. Certainly not tolerated. It's just one thing after the other, and it's been really, really bad over the last year or so. We've covered a lot of this on this channel. A lot of times we see it from over on Jeff Filiaw's Facebook page, where they go nuts over there for sheer stupidity, and they believe the things that Jeff Filiaw, aka Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, shoves down their throat. But this is not unique to him. This forced outrage, this constant pot stirring, this state of enragement which keeps them engaged, engagement, is the lifeblood of the current Trump publicans, MAGA. You may remember at the time of the debate between Trump and Kamala that he said they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there. Well, of course, Kamala laughed him off the stage. The world laughed at that. It was utterly ridiculous. He tried to say, well, this is what the governor is saying or the mayor is saying. He was ridiculously embarrassed. We were ridiculously embarrassed for him, and it was a comical clown show, and it should have been completely disqualifying for him at that moment to have a chance at being the president in the United States. Granted, there's about 1,000,003 things that should disqualify him from being the president of the United States. That notwithstanding the comedian who said that Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage. I'm going to veer off for just a moment on that particular point, because there was a lot of misinformation after that. The comedian was properly vetted for that show. That rally was scripted down to the minute, so everything that would have been said there needed to be approved because it was on a teleprompter. So the entire campaign knew that was coming, unless he just happened to sneak in something that wasn't on the teleprompter, but then you screw up the teleprompter. That's not a risk somebody's going to take, so that was scripted. Very much a part of the WWE plot of it. After that event, Biden called the comedian's supporters garbage. And just to be clear, he was talking about the comedian. Because when you listen to or watch the video of him talking about it, and not just the 9-second clip that was going around, the context is he's talking about that guy, because it is that guy that was disparaging Puerto Rico, and Biden is referencing that disparagement and says that his supporters are the garbage. In that context, around the time in which he says that comment, Trump is not mentioned. He's talking about the person who was spewing hate against Puerto Rico, which Trump was not doing. The comedian was. So he was calling the comedian's supporters garbage. Now, obviously, when you're talking about a standard human being, not a political entity, anybody who backs what a person says, saying the word supporter doesn't sound completely correct in conversational American English. It's usually something like political, like if you were talking about Baldwin and that case that he had with the accidental gunfiring on that movie Rust, and you would say the people defending him. You wouldn't necessarily say his supporters. You would say, well, the people defending what Baldwin went through or what happened. You wouldn't say, well, the people supporting him. O.J. Simpson, the people who had believed he was innocent and cheered his innocence. You would probably not really say supporters in that. So, yes, the word is a little off kilter, but they were having a political conversation. So I don't agree that supporters was the correct word. Had he used a different word, it may have been more clear. But to be clear, he was talking about the comedian. But of course, MAGA wanted to believe he was talking about them because they're Trump supporters and thought he was saying Trump supporters. And then they went right out and did more cultish behavior like they'd been doing for a year. Like when they were wearing t-shirts that said real men wear diapers because the diaper narrative was getting out of hand. Noel Kessler, thank you. When the vaccination happened and people were wearing bandages and feminine hygiene product pads on their ears in support, that is cultish. And then going around on Halloween dressed as trash and garbage is culty. I mean, it's, even though Biden wasn't talking about them, the fact that they absorbed that and believed it and tried to turn it back around and just embarrass themselves by walking around as living human trash. You do you, buddy. Kind of stupid in my opinion, but okay, just broadcast to everybody that you're in a cult. Why don't you wear the golden diapers, wear the pad, and then glue a bunch of trash from a garbage bin to your shirt, and there you go. MAGA. Okay, so back to the topic at hand. The current outrage that they are falling for, and believe me, most of the time the outrage, 99% of the time, the outrage is total garbage. It is BS. They fall for things because they're marks. That they're such easy marks, and they don't use critical thinking skills. They don't do any research. Nobody. When I saw this, what did I do the moment that I saw this? I Googled Allexis Ferrell. I actually dragged her name, highlighted it, Control-C, went over to Google, Control-V, and I searched, because that's what you do when you are cynical and you're not an uneducated mark and you don't fall for these things. So I Googled Allexis and could find out very, very quickly Allexis Ferrell is not a Haitian immigrant. She's not an immigrant at all. She's an American citizen who was out of her goddamn mind because she was coked up. She was on drugs, on the police cam, which I don't want to watch. They ask her, did you kill the cat? And I believe they... Well, I don't want to say it. I'm sorry. This is not something that it is an act. I'm going to skip past what she said she did to the cat. But after that, she was eating the cat, and the cop said there was cat hair in her mouth. So, skipping past the point of how the cat became incapacitated, she was caught snacking on the cat for some particular reason. Now, the actual rumor that started with the Haitian immigrants, where that Ohio person said that she thought some Haitian immigrants had taken the cat, but then the cat showed up and was completely fine. That lady had to apologize. She said she got it totally wrong. She backed it down. What MAGA is doing is they're blending the two. They're blending the lady who made the misinformed report that a cat had gone missing around some Haitians, but then the cat showed up, and then they merged it into this story about a coked up drug fiend eating a cat in the middle of the street because it was caught on a police cam. But as I said, she's an Ohio native. She's a red-blooded American citizen. All you had to do was Google her and find out. Now, another post that I had that talked about this event I can't show in this video because it seems to be a protected page and it shuts down the recording when I go there, but it was a global site that said America or U.S. woman pleads guilty to eating the cat. Now, I had started to say at the time of that video, which I had to delete, was that it's very interesting that that site called her out as a U.S. woman because that is the truth. And I was like, congratulations, you're countering the narrative that it's immigrants. Well, it's because it was an out of the U.S. world news site. So it was proper to say U.S. woman because they're referencing where the event occurred, not the fact that she's an American citizen. However, more local news and more national news needs to call that out right from the beginning that a U.S. woman or a non-immigrant woman accused of killing, eating a cat pleads guilty. People need to counter this MAGA narrative so that it's shoved down their throat very quickly, very easily, right at the beginning of the phrasing, so that these people get it and these things don't spin out of control. Allexis Ferrell in August pleaded not guilty to cruelty to companion animals after she was arrested and held on a $100,000 bond. She switched her plea to guilty after a lengthy court process which included an evaluation of her mental condition. She received a year for the crime, as a Cleveland outlet reported. She was also reportedly sentenced on Monday to probation violations in 2 separate cases, giving her an additional 18 months in prison. So there you go. She's got a year, and then she's got a year and 6 months. 2.5 years. This woman's going to be in jail for that event. Why did you kill the cat? She was hunched over the body of a dead cat. Just going to go past that stuff so we don't have to talk about it. Similar animal cruelty accusations out of Springfield took center stage in 2024 debate. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. Yeah, this should have ended it, but it didn't. Oh, God, yeah. Sorry, that was on the screen there. Not an immigrant, just a coked out, drugged up Ohio native American citizen. Born and bred and raised. Now, it's an interesting thing to think that the world was a different time 12 years ago. The immediate thing that I thought of when I Googled her and read what happened is the infamous bath salts highway attack down in Florida. Because the thing is, nobody said it was an immigrant at the time. Nobody was like, oh, the immigrants are zombies in The Walking Dead, and they're eating the heads, they're eating the faces, they're eating the humans of the people that drive there. No, it was bath salts. And there's a security footage that captured basically, which looked like a zombie movie. I remember it at the time. And it was due to a street drug called bath salts that was largely a factor in why this was happening. I do definitely not remember a narrative that it was an other, because that is what Republicans are afraid of. This is what psychological studies have shown when it comes to Republicans, is that while in general they can feel more happy and confident in the world, they're a little less stressed and everything, their stressors or their fears come from the other, the outside. Liberals tend to be a little more depressed and a little bit more anxious, but their fears are internal fears. For example, how am I going to live when I become a 60-something, 70-something-year-old adult and my Social Security is screwed up, because that's what the Republicans want to do. That's that's actually a little bit of a blend. But if your focus is on what am I going to do, what's going to happen to me when it's my turn for Social Security, that's what Democrats and liberals are known for doing. It's an internalized thing. This constant belief that it is a homeless person, or it's an immigrant, or it's a minority doing all the bad things. That's what the Republicans do. It's coming from the outside. The bath salt situation really struck me as being similar to this. And drugs do crazy things. Police will tell you what it's like to deal with people on, angel dust and PCP, and the strength that these people have. Hell, it was even sort of highlighted in the movie Friday, way back when. So that's all that this is. It's just a case of a person having a mental disorder and being on drugs and doing a horrific event that the book should be thrown at them for. However, to make it a political thing and say that this proves Trump is right is something that MAGA is attempting to enjoy right now. You can see all these people are like, and the legacy media won't cover it or won't admit it. 1 year isn't nearly long enough. Like, actually do your research and see that it's 2.5 years. But okay, never mind that. I thought it was a Trump manufactured hoax. Is she a Haitian immigrant? Bet she is. Let's everybody swarm this thread and say, yeah, okay, I'll take that bet, and charge the person $1,500 and then collect your money. Liberals just love to keep losing. All of these people are just hanging their ass out here to be embarrassed and made fun of, because none of them can actually do a modicum of research and find out it's an American. Now, I don't think I've seen anybody get called out and say, hey, this person wasn't an immigrant, this person was in fact an American citizen, and them turn around and try to say, well, okay, so he said dogs and cats were being eaten. He didn't specifically say that it was immigrants. He was just saying that it was happening. No, because let's go and look at that phrase again. The people that came in, meaning immigrants, because the people that live there are the people that are already there. So when he qualified this statement and said the people that came in, meaning immigrants, that's who he was talking about. So there is no way you can twist in the wind and defend what he said on this. He specifically called out immigrants. MAGA is all in a tizzy believing that he was right, when in fact he was not, because people like Hanan Kouraji, aka Brigitte Gabriel, and all these right-wing MAGA Trumpublican-style accounts just farm enragement. They would be more clear that this person was not an immigrant if they were actually being honest. Things like Brigitte, the Patriots Gazette, they know exactly what they're doing. I mean, here, real news with a patriotic bias found in 2021. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're stoking when they say this and leave out the key details. And if you're MAGA and you're watching this, if you're Trumper and you're watching this, you need to be embarrassed and rethink things when people like Brigitte and outlets like Patriots Gazette and anybody else who runs this story deliberately leaves out that fact because they know you're not going to do the research you're supposed to do. You should be embarrassed that you don't, and you should be embarrassed and upset at how many people take advantage of that with you. You know, when you read books or you see movies and things like that where somebody's old, potentially going senile, and people in their family take advantage of them and take out money from their bank account or write checks in their name and drain that well-off senior. They drain them dry and abuse them because they don't really know what's going on and everything. That is what right-wing media does to you constantly. They take advantage of you because they know they can. You need to stop it. Only you have the power to do it, and if enough of you do it, this will stop. The misinformation, the disinformation will stop because they know they can't get away from it. But if you're going to continue to be stupid and you're going to continue not to do the work that you can do very, very easily, this will continue. And they will continue to take advantage of you, and the people who aren't marks are just going to continue to laugh at you and point fingers and be like, hi, you fell for something again. And we're going to continue to call it out on social media and embarrass you because you deserve it. So that's it for me on this particular episode of the Political Napalm. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you do see this narrative out there that Trump was right, please correct people and let them know that it was not an immigrant. It was not a Haitian immigrant who did this act. It was just a person out of their mind and really high on... I was going into David Chappelle there for a moment thinking of that. Drugs, cocaine's a hell of a drug. But yeah, cocaine is a hell of a drug, especially with people that are already a little bit out of their brain and have some mental conditions, as it was proven in Alexis's case. Thank you for watching, everybody.